I didn't know that I would have a cat as a guest in the video, but here he is today. This is my Mr. Samwati. But what I want to talk to you about are art fairs and failures at them. Because seriously, art fairs can be tough and you're going to have bad shows sometimes. This is an inevitability in an artist's career. I know myself, especially when I was first starting out doing art fairs, I did so many shows and some of them I did really good at or fairly good at, and then some of them I would lose money. And that's one of the things to think about as you are going into becoming an artist who sells their work at art fairs. I want to share with you a story about my first fine art fair that I got into. Okay, so I had been doing art fairs for maybe a year or two at that point, but I had only done art events that were local to me, just right around Wichita, Kansas, where I live, no more than an hour drive away. And I had been applying to shows on Zapplication, the better fine art fairs that are within about an 8-hour drive of me. And I had applied all the previous year and not gotten into any. So I finally applied to this show. It was a fine art fair in Aspen, Colorado, which was about 9 hours drive from Wichita, where I live. I was like, well, it's a little bit far, but I think I can do it. And I got in. And so it was like the first one that I'd ever gotten into. I was so excited. I had my tent, I had all my artwork, and it was a mostly original show. They said you could have one print rack of prints there, but mostly to sell originals. So I brought as many originals as I could. I had a lot of smaller pieces because at the time I was selling these little like 6x6 or 6x8 small landscape paintings. I was also making animal paintings, but my inventory wasn't centered around like one particular thing. I had a lot of different ideas at the time about my artwork. I didn't know the direction that I was really going, so there wasn't a cohesive body of work in my booth, but most of the pieces were smaller. When we got there, I realized really quickly that Aspen is a very expensive place. Parking was expensive. Even the Starbucks was twice as much as it was in the town where I live. And so everything was higher when it came to an expense standpoint. And I didn't calculate this in my budget, but initially my costs were around $1,100 to do this show, but they ballooned up to $1,500. So we set up the booth, everything was going well. There was rain a few times during the event, but not enough to damage any of my work or anything. But what I realized very quickly was that some of the booths next to me were selling like crazy. They were selling out of everything. And they had really expensive items, like $3,000 paintings. My paintings were like $100, maybe $300 at the top level. Like the biggest one was a 16x20 size. These were not the type of paintings that the customer base there wanted. They wanted big pieces because they had big homes with large walls to fill. They didn't want small little pieces that would be good as a gift for someone or like in a cubicle at a work desk, something like that, because these people probably didn't work jobs like that. You know, they had more money to spend on artwork. And it was the first time I realized that I completely missed my target audience, my target buyer. And I didn't even realize that was the thing before this show. But I think I made around $750 of total sales. And that meant that I worked for 4 days, didn't get paid anything. And in fact, I lost $750. So I felt so dejected and just, like a total failure when I came back from that show. But instead of letting it stop me, because some people would let that failure stop them, I didn't. I used it as fuel for me to grow as an artist. So I thought, okay, from here on out, instead of painting these little small paintings, these little practice paintings, I'm going to start making big 30x40 paintings, nice sized pieces of surrealism landscapes. And so I made a whole collection that I still sell prints of to this day, and I've sold every single one of the originals. I think I made around 25 of them in total. And sometimes I'll make one here or there just for fun now, but mostly I focus on animals. Still, the main point I want to emphasize is that it was great for me as an artist to have this failure. It helped me grow in ways that I could never have predicted prior to this show. I mean, making a collection of large surrealism landscapes wasn't even on my radar before this show, but I saw the potential to be able to sell something like that. And even though I lost $750 and all of that time at the show, all of that work, and I felt awful about myself for for a few days, it helped me to see an opportunity in the market that I could fill as an artist. Also, if you look at your failures in a real critical way, like I did, and I realized that I missed my target market, I should have had different artworks there for those particular buyers, or I should have done a different event because it was my choice. The buck stops here when it comes to the fault when you are running your own business. As an artist who's self-employed, I mean, I have all the responsibility on my shoulders for choosing the wrong event. And so that's why it failed. It wasn't that it was a bad show. It wasn't that the art buyers weren't there to purchase, because they were. It was that I didn't choose the right event for my artwork, or I didn't choose the right inventory to bring to that particular show. You could look at it in either direction. To catch up with how Mr. Samadi's doing over here, he's been sleeping. He was taking a bath for a while I was recording. Yeah, hopefully hearing about one of my failures helps you see your failures in a more positive way. Because I think that if we look on the bright side of things more than looking on the negatives, because sure, losing money sucks. I mean, there's no way around that. But losing that money could lead to something really good for your art career. You never know what one thing will do that will cause a chain reaction for something else that could be so much better and could really improve your life. If you'd like to learn more art fair tips, check out this video. All right, thank you so much for watching. See you next time.